This is Titletown Sound.
If Joe Flacco is worth a fourth-round pick, Antonio Brown might be worth a negative fifth-round pick.
Again, I'm just a fat dude sitting on the couch, but I watch a lot of football.
I'm here to kick ass and make steaks, and I'm all out of steaks.
Year one, he was like, all right, guys, I don't know what Dom taught you, but you need to have 11 guys on the field.
The trained orangutan could have done a better job than Ron Jones. I mean, not even well trained.
Welcome, Packers fans, to episode 240 of the Titletown Sound podcast. This is the podcast for fans of the Green Bay Packers and fans of birthdays. We missed it by a day, but James Corsmo, co-host of this wonderful show, happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. It's a new personal record for me. I made it's my joke I say every year, and it's bad. It gets worse every year.
So this is how many years now?
Carry the 40 years now.
So it's a big. Now here's how you're not old yet, right? I'm old, but here's how you judge when you're old. Because I'm only 3 years older than you, but here's how you judge if you're old. Have you ever legitimately forgotten how old you are for more than 5 or 6 seconds? Yeah. Like when you were trying to think about it. Yes, that's how you know. And last year I had a time where I said I was 41 and my daughter corrected me. And that's how I knew that I was old. So,
I mean, I'm rich people always ask to see my long form birth certificate. I don't know why.
Nor do I. My other co-host, your other guide through tonight's entertainment, Kevin Christofko. He's my brother. And despite that, he's usually amusing. Kevin, how you doing?
I might not be as old as you guys, but I do feel a little bit old with my salt and pepper beard I've got going on here.
It's quite nice.
I frequently forget how old I am, but that's because I'm not very smart. It doesn't really have much to do with age. Yeah, it's weird getting older. Like once you get past 21, now 21's good, 25's cool, and then it's just all downhill from there.
Yeah, milestones are overrated once you get past for me 30. It's all right.
25 was a really good one because that meant I could rent a car for less. That was a big deal for me. I did a lot of car rentals in my early 20s, apparently.
Sounds about right.
The chat is working, gentlemen. We were worried that it wouldn't be because it didn't for a show before. So remember, you can always join us on YouTube live if you have nothing better to do. James Hamlin questioning your facial hair, Kevin said, is that a beard? James, give him 20 more minutes and he'll look like ZZ Top. This is not a man that has difficulty growing a beard.
I don't grow a beard because it gets too itchy for me. So I'm growing my hair, as you might be able to see, but I don't really grow a beard. This is just laziness from shaving. I just call it a beard because what else would
another comment in the chat. Says the diet is paying off. James looking great. James, you posted a picture from one of our shows. It was like a before and after, and you look amazing. I mean, you're doing such a great job. I am not.
No, thanks. I first of all, I appreciate that a lot. People who are noticing, it's awesome. And you're just as dashing as you always are.
I glow. Well, the more weight I gain, the more I glow. So that's the thing.
The more you grow, the more you glow.
The more I perspire. I just sweat constantly.
It's a cause and effect.
James, I'm gonna just play this clip out of context later for us. You have to be patient to get through the itchy phase. Let's move on because we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers, and we've got some news. It's been a while, so I don't remember if I've got the right sound effects.
I think they're reverse of what they should be. I do know that.
Yeah, but now I've double psyched myself out because I know the reverse of what they should be. So when I look at them, my mind is like, no, you mean the other reverse.
I got you.
It's like Uno.
No, it's It's not Uno. All right, you ready, Kev? Story number one. Oh, first I have to
Well,
play this.
yeah. Let's see what happens.
Well, my computer froze, so there's that. It's going well. Oh, it's the opposite.
Oh,
So,
no.
this second.
So that's the one that I should have been talking to.
Well, not yet, because I had to play this one.
Spanning the globe to bring you all of the news that's fit to podcast.
All right.
Kevin Christofko.
I thought maybe I like stroked out there for a second and missed this one and had to go real quick. But thank you for keeping me honest here.
Well, I'm gonna have to fire whoever put together the soundboard. That intern from
your daughters need to get on the ball.
All right.
Maybe if we podcasted more than once every 6 or 7 years.
I was surprised. I couldn't get the abacus on the camera on my abacus to work. So
I'm ready. I have this little podcast room. I came here. There were cobwebs everywhere. I'm not sure why. All right. Story number one in the news this week.
We're sitting here and we're talking about practice. Not a game. Not a game. Not a game. Practice.
I love the commitment. The commitment there. That was fantastic. That was like the full quote.
So how do you that was Allen Iverson and like Howard Cosell, and there was like a little bit of Frank Gifford in there, I think.
No, that was Rich Little imitating Howard Cosell. That's what that was.
That's what I was hearing. All right. Packers practice has started. James, they're practicing at Lambeau Field, inside Lambeau Field
today,
and it's there are new rules governing what reporters can and cannot say. So what's going on with practice?
So yeah, today was the first practice they had inside Lambeau. All the other ones have been over at over across the street at the Hudson Center. And it sounds like the defense is really, the pass defense anyway, is really doing fantastic. They've really stepped up.
Or hold on, hot take. Oh, hold on a second. Hold on, I'm gonna.
Oh, he's got a sound effect.
Hot takes.
What if this? What if not the defense is any good? What if Aaron Rodgers is terrible? What if?
I'm thrown off by this by the sound.
Here we go. Hot takes.
Yeah. I went into the second verse. I loved when I cut this stinger. I loved it so much that I let it go into the second verse, James. That's not a choice that many would make, but I'm bold.
I tell you. Off of YouTube.
I'm bold. Anyway,
so either way, either the pass defense is doing really well, or Aaron Rodgers is a pile of garbage. It's one or the other. It can't be both. Yeah, it sounds like obviously we can't see it because they don't allow any sort of videotaping, really. But the secondary seems to be playing really well. Chandon Sullivan, they have him playing in the slot, and it sounds like he's doing okay. And then obviously you got Jair and Kevin King. It sounds like Christian Kirksey's actually like a 1,000 light years better in pass coverage than Blake Martinez was. Well, which isn't difficult, but I mean, can he make tackles 5 yards down the field? That's what I need to know.
That's good to hear, though. If we have a linebacker that can play a little bit of coverage, that's
So it sounds like they're doing good. Sounds like and Rodgers, from everything I've seen, Rodgers is he's thrown a couple picks, but he does that I think every training camp. There's been some injuries which have been a little concerning. Bakhtiari, I think twice now has gotten dinged up. Came back from the first one, and yesterday he got dinged up again, and I don't think he did a lot today.
Nothing serious, just like banged up.
I think so. Yeah, something with his foot. Zadarius Smith got banged up like 4 days ago, and he hasn't practiced since, which is a little concerning to me. But
yeah,
I mean, I guess we'll see when we get closer to the season. The big scare was Devontae Adams, who went down after a long pass. He and came up limping pretty bad, but he seems to be okay. He was back today.
He went back out in practice, though, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's not a big deal. I know that Ricky Wagner, as his as the other members of his family / band call him, Ricky Wagner got hurt today.
Is that the Ricky Wagner experience?
Yes, it's the whole experience. The Ricky Wagner Orchestra. RWO. He left and went inside the Hudson Center and never came back. So that's I don't know if he went to a different planet or if he's hurt. So that'll be fun. Stay tuned to find out if Ricky Wagner still exists.
Now, hold on a second. I saw Tim Boyle counting with his eyes closed, if that means anything, in the corner of the end zone in Lambeau. I don't know.
We do have a reporter on the scene 24 hours a day scouting to see if he actually comes out of the Hudson Center or whether or not we have some sort of kidnapping situation on hand.
Yes.
The reporter, however, well, I don't. It was the guy who said he'd stay for all 24 hours, but when I handed him the money, he yelled "Woohoo, sucker!" and ran. I don't know. I think he was going home to buy lollipops, and he was going to come back out probably. So, if I get a text, I'll let you guys know.
Why would he go home to buy lollipops?
He's got a very weird philosophical.
Does he live in it? Is it Willy Wonka?
Yes.
You hired Willy, or did you hire Slugworth? Because if you hired Slugworth,
I hired that no good Grandpa Joe. What a lazy SOB that guy was.
25 years in a bed with 3 other people, and magically Charlie comes back with a ticket and he's up dancing around. They pissed in a pot for 25 years, waiting for that moment. Sorry, I got worked up.
The moment came though, so
I have strong
power to him.
Now, this YouTube user's name is Nitsudge No Meal, but Nitsudge is Justin backwards. So I hope I'm not like culturally appropriating someone's name, but I think this might be Justin. But then my question is his last name Limon, or No Meal, or Oatmeal, or some sort of variation thereof? Anyway, Justin asks or says, I'm hearing that Josh Jackson is looking super impressive. Product of Jerry Gray? ?
I think Jerry Gray was a huge pickup for the Packers. I really do. I loved it at the time. Minnesota had such a great secondary for so many years.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of that was Jerry Gray. I mean, obviously they had a lot of talented people in the back there too, but Jerry Gray is very good, and I'm really excited for him to get to work with Jair Alexander, and I don't know if Kevin King will be back after this year or not, but you got the young bucks coming up, Shannon Sullivan and all those guys. I think it's going to be, and Josh Jackson needs to do something this year. This is it for him.
Oh yeah.
They've let him dangle around a lot, like way too long.
They've given him a lot of rope.
Yeah. So
Josh Jackson needs to pick up the pacey.
I like it.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
We're gonna end the show there. I don't think it's going to get any better than a solid Dawson's Creek reference. But I think we do have to go on now to story number 2. Kevin, you ready for story number 2?
Let's do it. Kenny Clark gets an extension. If it lasts longer than 4 years, consult a doctor.
Packers nose tackle Kenny Clark signs an extension with the Packers. It's, I believe, $70 million total, $25 million in signing bonus. It's a 4-year extension. James, this is a big contract, and yet I've not seen a single person really criticize it.
And nor should they, because Kenny Clark is worth every dime of that money. He is just really good, and people, you have the dummies on Twitter or wherever else that look at the stats. Well, Kenny Clark's stats are amazing for what he is expected to do. Like the fact that his job is to just wreck things, just wreck the offensive line all the time. That's what he's supposed to do, and he still manages to get sacks and tackles and all. He is just he's worth it as long as he stays healthy for the next 4 years. I think. I'm thinking in 2 years, this is going to look like a bargain, really, considering how things go up. So, yeah, good for him. Highest paid nose tackle in the history of the league, which is fun.
Kevin, Kenny Clark is a very underrated Packer and just underrated NFL football player. He's a name that you don't talk about, and I guess part of that's probably what his position isn't exactly glamorous.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
he's a guy that more people should know about.
Yeah, and I think this is a good start, obviously, because his name is in the news for nothing else that he's making a crap load of money, right? But I mean, hopefully, I'm hopeful that it's a good contract, and like James said, with the way that the salary cap works out, it seems like this is going to be like a win-win deal. Clark gets a ton of money, and it'll be pretty team friendly, relatively speaking, when all said and done.
Yeah, I think you're right. And but now, what does that do for next year, especially, James? This is a big free agent class, and I think it's really telling that they got Kenny Clark signed first, because I think they believe he is the anchor of that defense. And that, so first, let's talk about that. The fact that they signed him first in this class, that tells you something about how they value him.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the other names. The other names out there. The Packers are going, potentially could be losing. You have Bakhtiari, Aaron Jones, Kevin King. And that there are a few others as well. The fact that they chose to go out and get Kenny Clark and sign him first, especially above Bakhtiari, is I think very telling as to how they feel about him and how they felt about how the league was going to feel about him. Because his price was only going to go up.
I gotta think with a team that is in transition at least a bit, where Aaron Rodgers team for a few more years, that maybe that's part of the reason that Kenny Clark becomes more important than David Bakhtiari. At least, they're probably flipping a coin. It's a tough call. I think. What do I know? But I think Bakhtiari's got to be one of your next priorities, if not your next, right?
I think Bakhtiari is absolutely the next priority. You got to get him signed, as quickly as you can, and then after that, can you sign Aaron Jones? Can you sign Kevin King? One or the other?
Isn't it Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams?
It is, and which is the reason they went out and got AJ Dillon in this last draft. I mean, either way, you're going to lose your starting running back, or you're going to lose your secondary running back. They needed to go out and get somebody, and they went out and got the man with the thickest thighs in America. And
man, I mean, I don't think my thighs. Well, I know my thighs will never go viral. God willing, no one wants that. But AJ Dillon's. I'm going to go to you on this one, Kevin. AJ Dillon's thighs. Comment.
They're quite massive.
Back to
That's
you.
my comment.
Good comment.
I would like to take pictures of them while they're oiled up. Like, what do you want me to say?
It was a joke. I mean, this is not. I don't know if you've ever listened to the show, but we don't really take.
No, I actually have not. It's funny you should say I have not listened.
All right. Anything else to say about who gets left out of that group, James? It's at least one, if not both, of the running backs, right?
I'm very afraid that Aaron Jones is not going to be re-signed, and I'm sad about that for a couple of reasons. Obviously he's such a great player. He's a top 5 running back in the league. I don't care what anybody says. Great pass protector, great out of the backfield catching passes. I'm worried about Gabe. I am preemptively a year ahead of time. I'm concerned for our El Paso friend, and
I'll bet you we were the first podcast to predict Aaron Jones to the Packers,
which correlates directly with the first podcast to have a El Paso scout that primarily scouts Southwest Texas.
Right. That was an innovation, really. That was like it was like when Fox put that tail behind the puck. It was like that.
Most scouting operations start big and then hone in. We chose a very niche area and decided to not go any further than that.
We could only afford to pay people nothing. And we only had one that volunteered. And since we weren't paying for gas money, it's not like he was going to drive that far. So
It's everything within walking distance of his house he was able to scout.
But if he did drive that far, we know which direction his blinker would be on.
All right, let's go to story number 3. Kev, you ready?
Let's do it. Inflated hopes for COVID safety as postseason bubble ideas pumped up.
Wow, you really carried that one through. The craftsmanship there was good on that.
Like a fine aged cheddar.
So the question is, what are the Packers, or what is the NFL going to do to keep COVID at bay? And the answer to this point has really been kind of hope. Doing a lot of testing and hoping that players are staying inside their own bubble and kind of quarantined at home. But when asked recently, Sean Payton, I think, was the one who brought it up, but the NFL is now considering a bubble-like, a bubble for playoffs.
Bubble.
I was going to say a bubble-like scenario, and I realized how stupid that sounded, so I stopped. But
bubble like bubble sounded better.
I know he was. Well, God Almighty, I quit. I'm going to get a podcast.
This is a first. I've never.
Here he comes. I saw the shot.
Okay, all right,
good. I knew he could.
I didn't.
Felt like that scene from Wayne's World.
I'm having fun. Not.
Anyway, so they're considering a bubble for the playoffs, but there's a little bit more to it because they can't just do that, right? They can't. I mean, the commissioner can't just say today or tomorrow, any playoff team, you're in a bubble. You're going to have to be in this bubble because they didn't bargain that with the union. So while they're hoping to have a bubble, whether or not the commissioner wants it, it may or may not happen.
I mean, it's worked. Then the NBA is the template. Is the template for any? Yeah, like they've had thousands of tests now and no positive results. So either somebody's lying or they're doing it the right way.
Well, here's. Sorry, James. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. No, go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you make it to the playoffs in the NFL, you don't need a bubble. Like, because
why is that?
Because you've already gotten to the play. Like, if you get that far in the season, if the season hasn't been canceled by then you're. I mean, not that you're safe, but what you're doing is working. My question and my fear is that there's a false sense of hope going on right now because not as many kids are coming home from school and not as many people are going back to their house to spend time with their families in between games. I think that's where the issue is going to be, not during training camps and all that stuff. And, I think right now it's like, oh, there's been 10 cases or whatever, less than 1%. It's like, that's great. But right now is not when it matters.
The teams aren't moving about the country.
Right.
And they're not even in many cases, like you said, they're not even going home. Right.
They're in bubbles essentially right now because it's training camp. And like in this scenario, if you play and you're going to be gone for 2 weeks in training camp, you might just stay in a hotel because it's easier. You might not go home every night. So, I don't know. I hear a lot of people who are like, oh, this is doing great. It's working. And like, yes, it is. But this is not the regular season situation, right? This is not what happens once games start.
Right. Because you're relying on players. You're essentially relying on the honor system where you're asking them to obey social distancing guidelines and to stay home as much as humanly possible. But you can't control them if they're not in that bubble like the NBA has done.
But even staying home and following those protocols isn't foolproof, right? Like,
I agree.
Yeah. There's a huge, I mean, I kind of feel like if they wanted to talk bubbles, they should have been talking about bubbles before now, right? Because as you said, like the collective bargaining and stuff like that, like, but just in terms of getting the games played, I feel like that should have been a discussion, but I understand why it wasn't.
Oh no, but hold on, I'm going to agree with you because this was part of the discussion in the article, at least briefly, was that the reason they didn't consider a bubble is because you're looking at teams would have had to have been in bubbles for 6 months. And so to that I say, well, then what you've done is you've chosen to have a full season in your mind over a shortened season, which would be safer. Pardon me. Because you could I guarantee you could sell the Union on a 10-game, like a 10-game bubble season. Then the teams that don't make the playoffs are out of the bubble. You could have convinced the Union to do something like that if you increased their revenue a little bit. You gave them a little more money. But they've chosen not to do that. They want to have a full season. So, you could have done a bubble, but you would have had to have done things that Goodell doesn't like to do, like possibly surrender some money. But I think, Kevin, in the long term, you've made a short-sighted move because you're not going to be able to play the whole season.
And I would love for them to play a whole season. As many people are as involved in it, I just don't see how that can happen because every it seems like at least once a week there's a new baseball team that's getting COVID. And what are they doing for the most part? Now, some of them are traveling outside of the team when they're not supposed to, but those people, what we know, have been isolated and figured out,
Right.
Who knows? I don't know. I kind of hope, I kind of wish that before this had gotten started, they had worked out something where, like you had said, Chris, like a shortened season, understanding that this is not a typical year and to treat it as such it's getting a little bit worrisome now because everybody's like, oh yeah, people are starting to believe that it's going to go off without a hitch, and that is a little bit concerning to me.
Stadiums are still allowed to have fans attend games.
Jerry Jones says they're playing in front of Jerry Jones said they're not even going to limit. They're just everybody come on in.
No, he didn't.
Everybody come on in.
You say it just like that?
All man for Texas. Everybody come on in.
What else did he say? Is there anything else that he said in that press? Because
no, he basically said we're going to play football in front of our fans, and it's going to be Mike McCarthy. So I mean, I don't. To be fair, I don't think he said anything that they're not going to limit fans. I just wanted to bag on Jerry Jones because that guy's a big dude, giant Skeletor douche.
I had a teacher in high school we called Skeletor. Obviously not to her face, but
I mean, you don't. Yeah, that's the type of thing you don't say to your teacher.
We had a teacher in high school who told us his nickname in college was Tripod. Is that something? Is that something a teacher's supposed to share with students?
I mean, as long as he didn't say, "Hey, come here, I want to show you something." First, then you're good.
I want to know how that came up in conversation during class.
I do too, especially because I believe, if I remember correctly, he was a religion teacher. So I don't think it was part of the curriculum.
Praise Jesus.
Kids don't cross the bear.
So to speak. All right, there was more that was decided about the NFL's COVID protocol. Roger Goodell is actually going to have a panel that's going to help make decisions on COVID-related things. And this is actually a very good idea. In fact, they should have a protocol that's written that says certain decisions will always be made by an independent party who has no money interest in this. So they're at least doing some of that. It's not perfect, but it's what it is. Yeah. They're not testing people. Any player who tests positive doesn't have to get tested for another 90 days. That's per CDC guidelines. So if you test positive, you don't have to test, and you survive. You don't have to test anymore. That's They're going to be travel and game day protocols the league has developed. They haven't released anything, but that's what I'll be interested to see. Like, how do you travel a team that large and the support system that has to go with it? It's not like it's not even like, I mean, baseball requires a lot of equipment, so they're limiting how far they're traveling. But it's football. I mean, it's 3 times the player.
53 players. All of your coaches, all of your training staff, your admin staff, all of the stuff that people don't think about. The business office people. I
It's
mean,
so
how?
The juggling clowns.
Well, yeah. Oh, the NFL did say there will be no cheerleaders this year, and that's that's just it's a shame.
Was there?
Also, yes, an ad started playing on that article.
Oh, I thought that. All right, my bad.
Did you think that was a fanfare?
I thought you had some sort of like new sound clip for us or something. I was like, and then it was.
I have that, but that's
I thought you were going to be the cheerleader.
No one.
That's your birthday video, James. Just check your phone.
Oakley is trying to develop a mask for players to wear while they play. The first mask everybody hated because they couldn't breathe well enough.
Well, J.J. Watt came flat out and said, "I'm not wearing that damn thing." And that he's in the top 1% of biggest stars in the NFL, and if he's going to come out and say that,
I don't know what he seems like a reasonable guy, but who knows?
If he's not going to play with wearing a mask like that, then they're going to have to figure something else out. Nobody will.
Yeah. And other stuff that other COVID related stuff, but nothing big. We'll see if they have to start negotiating with the players union about that, the playoff bubble, because that's not something the players are just going to give away, that they're going to have to live in a hotel for potentially 2 months or so. And that bubble would be somewhere around Tampa, because that's where the Super Bowl is being played. I don't know.
Gross.
And you're going to you're going to try to put an NFL bubble in the middle of one of the worst states for COVID related issues.
And James mentioned it before. It's not just the players, so you have to put all the front office in a bubble for
maybe you send them back to Disney World.
But not only the teams, but the NFL. The officials, the statisticians, all the extra periphery of people that are involved in the league
right.
would also have to be quarantined or in this bubble. It's a minor miracle that the NBA can pull it off, and the only reason they can is because the teams and everybody surrounding the teams it's so limited. It's not
right.
a lot of the average NBA team has
real clean show tonight, guys. Real clean.
I almost made it. I don't know what is that, Mr. Clean, but the average NBA team is 12 players, 4 or 5 coaches, and some trainers. I mean, that's not even that's a fraction, and I just don't think it's feasible. I really don't.
There's no other way to keep the virus out, and it's just they're going to be outbreaks. I'll be interested to see how they handle that, because what are you going to do? It's not where you have to that's be flexible.
That's what's so unsettling for me, Chris. It's like they're not even treating it like it's a serious issue when it clearly is. They're treating it like, oh, we've got this under control, we've got this handled, like right. But you don't. And because if you did, then I don't know. I just wish that they would have more of a more progressive approach to it, like the other sports did, because it's not going to go smoothly, and they're going to need to have things built in where they can adjust things on the fly.
Or get creative. Like, we're going to have 2 bubbles. We're going to have 2 seasons, and
right.
A double bubble.
A double bubble with a break in between, and a Super Bowl against the double bubble winners. Something like that. Like, get creative and say, this is a weird year. We're going to do something different. And if we could get a double bubble Super Bowl, and everyone is going to love that.
That's freaking fun to say. Double bubble Super Bowl.
It is. See?
Oh my goodness.
Double bubble Super Bowl. Yeah. It wouldn't be a number. It would be the
sponsors itself.
Guys, let's huddle for the Super Bowl bottle, whatever. Okay.
It's a huddle on the double bubble.
Super Bowl double bubble.
We're in trouble.
Do you guys like my stubble for the double bubble Super Bowl bubble?
Like it. I love it. I'm really bad at this, guys. I'm sorry. I keep trying. All right, we got to get to break. When we come back, we are going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, and we have voicemails. We have 2 voicemails tonight, guys.
Are we doing patrons now, or do we do that afterwards?
Yeah, of course we're going to do that now. I knew that, Kevin.
Me too.
Before we go to break, there are some ways that you can help support this show, and one of them is by going to patreon.com/TTSO and giving us a small per episode donation. We have some amazing patrons that I never forget about. They're the OGs, and Kevin is going to talk about them right now.
I am indeed going to talk about them right now. All right, our first OG is Scott Neer. Much like the ancient Romans, Scott celebrates his birthday with lavish gifts and hedonistic parties. So he likes to get jiggy with it, if you know what I'm talking about, and naked with ladies and other ladies, and even some men, if you know what I'm saying. Orgies. Jason Hicks. Much like the ancient Persians, for his birthday, Jason always has a smorgasbord of meats available, including baked cow, horse, camel, or donkey. These are things that ancient Persians ate, apparently. And Jason Hicks, he doesn't eat those things. They're just on a table because it looks really badass.
So ancient Persians they ate camel toes and ass?
Probably at the same time, really, when you think about it.
This is the family show.
Here's the orgy.
Milo Mead song. Much like birthday celebrations in China, Milo marks the occasion with his famous longevity noodle. Longevity noodles are a thing, all right? Chris Korsmo. Chris has a different opinion of birthdays. Much like the famous Christian theologian Origen of Alexandria, Chris thinks Christians should not only refrain from celebrating their birthdays, but should look upon them with disgust.
That's actually pretty close.
I thought I might be closer. Jeff Augustine. Jeff celebrates his birthday much like the way the people of India celebrate Mahatma Gandhi's birthday on October 2nd. He shuts down all the local liquor stores in his town. And last but not least, he's the man with the sweet, sweet cake, the one and only James Hamblin.
Wow.
You know what?
That's it. I'm done. Those are all of them because I just said the last one.
No, we'll be back.
Did you know that you can help support our show financially without any additional cost to you? Well, if you use Amazon, and let's face it, who doesn't? You can go through our Amazon affiliate link, and we'll get a small portion of the proceeds. You pay nothing extra, and you still get your awesome stuff delivered in like 2 days. So go to www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. You just order like you normally would, and you help the show. That's www.titletownsoundoff.com/Amazon. Happy shopping.
If you would like to support the show and help others find it, give us a review and a rating. Go to Apple Podcasts and write something nice and give us 5 stars. Thanks.
Welcome back. Packers fans and people who are lost on YouTube. To episode 240 of the Titletown Sound podcast. Before we get back to the show, we have some other wonderful people. Our Hall of Famers, James. Tell me about it.
Hall of Famers. We have Kyle Turpinning, DJ Lightfoot, Will Zine Savage, and then Michael James Crowder. Now, I need to take a minute here, and I need to publicly thank all of these gentlemen. I didn't know that they would all fit in that cake. But they
Wow.
really squeezed in there, and that trick candle, top notch. Never seen one like that before. And yeah, the icing was great too.
I'm just glad that they remembered to bake the cake first before getting in this time.
They got that
was
wrong
good.
last year for James Berkeley last year. That was awkward. That was uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, it's the 4 and 20 Blackbird story. We do that all the time.
We lost a lot of patrons.
Yeah,
that
you
day.
want to avoid
To
that.
fire, mainly to fire. All right. Larry, what else should we talk about? Let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and his new attitude. Aaron Rodgers gave an interview. Who was it with? I've done so much preparation. Hold on.
I believe it was with some sort of sports reporter.
It was with a sports reporter. Yeah, no. Aaron Rodgers gave an interview where he basically told the guy whose name I can't track down as I try right now that he holds no hard feelings against Greg Jennings and Jermichael Finley, two of his more vocal critics as former teammates. Now, Jermichael Finley and Greg Jennings have stood out mainly because very few, if anyone, backed up the claims that they made about Rodgers' lack of leadership. And we've talked about that before, James.
Yes. I think that Greg Jennings to me is just like a dude that he needs attention. If he doesn't get attention, every so often he just has to. That's just like his like fishing net. Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I haven't been relevant in a week. In a few months. Maybe I'll make another comment about Aaron Rodgers' leadership.
Right, which is really unfortunate because of all the wide receivers Aaron Rodgers has had, Greg Jennings, or has played with, Greg Jennings is in the top 2 or 3, really, I think. I mean,
he said that. I was on the Dan Le Batard show. I had read that at some point.
Yeah,
anyway.
they don't win Super Bowl 45 without Greg Jennings.
He said he was a fantastic player, and so was J. Mike. The physical giftedness of both of those guys was phenomenal. We had some incredible moments together. Greg caught 2 touchdowns in the Super Bowl, and J. Mike was on his way to a many Pro Bowl, All-Pro type career, in my opinion, before his horrific neck injury. Now, I don't know if he would have been that great, but Finley was on that trajectory, even with his lack of football work ethic, or so it was reported, his lack of ability to communicate. He was on pace to be really good.
Did he also have a lack of ability to pay child support?
He did. He had that. He had that. Oh no, he had the ability to pay child support.
Well, he did. See, because the only reason I knew that is because I recall in one of the older versions of Madden, his child support rating was a 44. So I just figured he wouldn't.
Feel like let's move on.
Anyway, so Rodgers basically said,
no, sorry, I was just making a joke.
I'm kidding. No, it's fine.
I know.
He doesn't know anything against them, and he has been opening up a lot more. He's been talking a lot more about, and look, he always talked about, he would give an interview, but it was with Milquetoast Wildy, who would never press him on anything. Like, who was scared of Aaron Rodgers, and you never really heard anything interesting from him. He's a very protected guy, James.
He is, and I do not blame any celebrity or famous person that doesn't want to divulge anything to people, because nobody, just because your job is more high profile than the normal job doesn't mean that anybody's entitled to know details about your life. That they don't need to know. So I think for Aaron Rodgers to come out recently, really since the draft, I think is when he's started to be more open and really starting to talk to people. And in that interview, he just said, I think I just really stopped giving an F.
He said, I just decided to say F it. I'm not talking.
And I think that's
a good strategy, by the way, James, for an older quarterback.
Right.
Because you're not going to be great forever, so you might as well start making connections with fans and people and having a personality for, possibly a career after football if you want it.
Oh, right. I mean, he doesn't have to hold so close to the guard anymore because the light is there. The end of the tunnel is within vision. And, for the rest of his career, you're protecting your reputation, protecting your, everything else. Now he's at a point where he can divulge things or feels comfortable divulging things maybe that he didn't. Plus, you grow as a human being. A 38-year-old is, a lot different than a 28-year-old or a 25-year-old. And unless you're me, because I'm like the exact same person, but it's so I think it's cool. I really like hearing him be real. And like you said, when he would talk to Aaron or to Jason Wilde, it was always the canned answers and the kind of half-assed mocking Wilde for being such a lame ass. I don't know why he blocked me, but
for giving him a compliment, James. I remember. I listened to the show, unlike Kevin.
I literally, the last tweet I ever sent Wilde was because he wrote an article I liked, and I said, "Hey, man, that's a good article," or something like that, and then he blocked me. So whatever.
It's a jerk move.
And I just want to clarify, just for the record, every once in a while, like once every 2 months, we do a good bit, and I'll listen to that. So,
right.
Does that count?
Yeah, sure, I'll count it. What else did he say? That's it. He's decided to be more open, and it is a good move, I think, for him because he's got to build a brand. And this is one thing I thought was kind of telling. He said, "It's been fun to find opportunities to share more about my personality. I think there was some misnomers about me shared by folks that actually didn't know me very well. It's been nice to rewrite some of those narratives." He definitely wants to be a guy who's in control of his own narrative. He does not like others writing the story.
I mean, it's been very well established throughout the years that he cares a lot about his reputation, and people slag on him for that, which is dumb. Why would you not care about your reputation? So you don't necessarily have to care, what everybody thinks about you all the time, but when you have potential need to get further employment, you should probably care about what people think of you.
Yeah.
So look, you know me. I will stan Aaron Rodgers. I'm 40 and I just said stan, eat it. I will stand for Aaron Rodgers as much until he's gone. So
by some reports, that'll be next week.
Yes.
So no, that's required Jordan Love. He was going to be gone, All right. We got voicemails. We have 2 voicemails now, ladies and gentlemen. Boys and girls listening, you too can call the voicemail. And I know there's not a whole lot of football to talk right now, but if you'd like to, give us a call. I'm stalling so I can find our phone number. It is 920-445-TTSO. That's how you know it's good because we've got letters instead of numbers. 920-445-TTSO. Call us and, order food. We don't care. We just want to hear from you. And we've got 2 callers tonight. Let's go to caller number 1. Did not identify themselves. So here it is.
My dog's balls are cold.
Kevin.
Yes.
Is that you?
That was me, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. Do you remember that story, James? I believe we told it on a bonus show at some point.
No, I don't actually.
There was a snowstorm in Baltimore, Maryland, and Kevin and I, that's where we lived. So how when there's a really bad snow, and the local news gets a giant, boner,
they
love
that,
and they just report all day. So they were somehow a veterinarian got into the studio, so they're going to do a call-in segment where you're going to call about your pets in the weather, and the first caller of the segment was some guy just yelling, "My dog's balls are cold." And I believe, if I'm correct, that shut down the segment. It was done.
Well, they went to the next caller. I think
okay.
it wasn't long for the world, but yeah, they all right, next caller. They were
a clearly rattled vet didn't know how to answer.
I wish that they would have been like, well, what you want to do is take a nice hand warmer and really tuck it up underneath.
This is why we need you to call, because we're calling our own show. We're doing bits by calling our own show. So please call us and talk back or whatever you want to. All right. Voicemail number 2.
Just when I think the world may have dumped all of the bullshit that they can dump, I see the world say, I have so much more shit to dump on you. All of the bullshit and the cow shit and the horse shit and the owl shit and all the shit. It's an infinite supply of this shit. I got a big load of this shit a few weeks ago from the Disneyland World when they said they are going to get rid of the Splash Mountain. Now, I know you all love the Disney and the Mickey Mouse and the Roidhead, the Donald Fuck, but I put my boot down on this Disneyland World. I love the Splash Mountain. I watched the Ernest P. Worrell go to the Splash Mountain in 1999, and I tell you, the Ernest did not risk his life tasting that ride, so they took a tear it down and put up some toad and pony ride, whatever fuck you're replacing it with. I don't care if you wanted to put a monument of me, Iron Sheik, putting the Felix Nash in camel clutch in his place. You leave the Splash Mountain where it is, or you will hear from me and the Ernest's cousin, the Billy Boogie Water. If he's not in jail anyway. Running the globe is Iron Man News. Okay, first off, I said goodbye to my friend, the Kamala, the Ugandan giant. Great guy, great performer. What they've kicked in Mike McCarthy's ass in a fight. Rest in peace, my friend. Okay. In the news, the people are still complaining about wearing the face masks. Okay. Now I have 3 things to say to you if you don't want to wear the face mask. Okay. Number 1, go fuck yourself. Number 2, say number 1, go fuck yourself. Okay. Now that you've done those 2 steps, you can move on to number 3. Okay, I'm actually going to help you with this one. If you really don't want to wear the mask, here is what you do. Anybody complains that you're not wearing the mask, they want you to wear the mask, you tell them you identify yourself as a 2-year-old child. So you're too young to need one. Okay, that's the best idea I got. If this shit was on the first book, you'd eat it up. But you hear it here from Shicky Baby, you're going to doubt it. Go fuck up a lamppost, you piss-drinking piece of shit. Speaking of pissing yourself, I would like to congratulate you, Joe Biden, for electing James Kamala Harris as his running mate as the Vice President of the United States within 24 hours of the man dying. And I'm sure Kim Chi will get into office as well. Remember the Harvey Whippleman, but I'm sure that will go well. You know, I think really the Joe Biden will be fine if he doesn't make the same mistakes as a former Wisconsin Badgers coach Brett Bielema did. The Brett Bielema, now he did some good things in Wisconsin, Bubba. He surrounded himself with smart people to make him look better than he was. He didn't talk more than he needed to. He kept his mouth closed. Right? He did not do this when he went to coach the Arkansas. He put shit around him, and he let his mouth sit open too much. So he looked like a gaping asshole. Avoid that, and you should be fine, Joe. I know he listens to the program. Anyway, I hope you're all well. I know there hasn't been as much shows lately, and I just wanted to say to that, hey, what happened? I kid you. That is all. Bye.
Hey, what happened? Thank you, Sheik, for calling in. By the way, we're not a political show, but vote for Biden-Harris. And I'll tell you what is a bad idea is when they make the vice presidential nomination or announcement, if you donate right away, like over enthusiastically, then they know that you're a sucker and you'll continue to donate, which I will. So, for instance, today I got texts from 3 different people. One from Barack Obama. I got text from Barack Obama, from John Kerry, and Kamala Harris, all on the same day, guys.
It was a group text, too.
No, it was one at a time, each asking for money. But I think it's because they like me. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that's pretty. Barack Obama's never texted me.
Well, you know.
I like when you donate $10.
You know, with that.
When you donate like $10 and then you get like an email, it's like, hey, thanks for your contribution. Can we mock you in for $260 a month from now until 2060? And you're like, let me think about that.
You can mark me in, but better be in pencil.
Shaky, as always the great. There was a lot going on in that. That was, I believe, our second official Shaky News Network. I'm not positive, but
that was amazing.
He handled that very well. We're like that. He gives his all every time. That's why we love him. We love him. All right, it's about time to get out of here. Before we go, does anybody have any more?
Me mind on fire, me soul on fire, feeling hot, hot, hot.
Training
14
camp.
seconds.
Hot
Sound
takes.
bites.
Party people, all around me feeling
Any more
hot,
training camp
hot, hot.
hot takes? Anybody?
I think they should still have the players ride the bikes across the street, but without anybody else around.
Just by themselves, like the kids.
Just have like the Packers just buy like 90 children's bikes and line
No,
them
the
up.
miniature clown tricycles. How about those?
Or those little tiny motorbikes that those like huge fat guys run in the
Shriner.
70s.
Shriner
Yeah.
motorcycles.
Yes.
Now
Yeah.
we're talking. Guys, this is brilliant. It could be like that would be hilarious.
Have like BJ Raji come back wearing a fez and he can be on the.
What are you gonna back guy on a motorcycle?
Yeah. Genius. You're welcome.
Or each position group has a different mode of transportation.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Like the quarterbacks are on segways. The offensive linemen are on pogo sticks. Like everyone gets a different mode.
Reinforce those bad boys.
What if each position group made like a parade float that they were on and part of?
Or a soapbox derby car.
Oh, that's actually a real down the sledding hill.
You gotta. I was gonna say you gotta come down the sledding hill. That's perfect.
Okay.
We
All
give
right.
these ideas away just because the Packers are publicly owned. That's the only reason we give these ideas away for free.
Thinking
We're
outside
owners.
the box. This is what the commissioner's office needs. The three minds like this.
This,
They just
I'm
throw
in
it
awe.
through and open the door like once a week. What amazing idea. Yeah, we'd have a whole whiteboard full.
this is like Shark Tank, but for stupidity.
I
Well,
thought my
that's-
idea was good.
Before we get out of here, anything else?
I don't have anything else. No.
James, how about you?
If you've made it 58 or so minutes into this thing, thank you guys for listening. I promise we'll be more timely with our episodes in the future. And tweet us the word, let's go with charcuterie.
Oh, spelling
Look it
does not count. In fact, don't look it up before you text us. Please.
Yeah, phonetically, just give it to us phonetically. Charcuterie.
SHARKEOOTERY. Charcuterie.
No, it's shark and hootery. It's an
Oh.
owl and a shark in some combination.
I just really want meat right now. That's really where that came from.
All right, guys, let's get out of here. Have a good week, everybody. Hopefully, we'll be back next week. Like James said, we're going to do our best to not make the gaps between shows so long. But we also have all got Xboxes now, so
God,
sometimes.
I love killing consecrated Germans.
So if any of you out there play Call of Duty World War II,
It's like a 30-year-old game
it's old, but we're
for
old.
Atari.
Message us on the Twitter, and we'll play. And bye.
Find us.
The preceding podcast was a production of Productions Institute LLC. Copyright 2019.
20.
All rights reserved. Don't steal our